Today is Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor 44, Week 4.
That's a lot of fours. This week's episode is titled, I'm Felicia, and that was spoken by Carolyn. In reference to the classic Bye Felicia line from, what was that? It was from Fridays, right? Bye Felicia.
Yep.
And of course, Michaela made it famous in Survivor too. Soka, day eight. Frannie's leading a meditation, and that's working well for Josh. He is one happy camper in Soka.
He is in a great position. He's close with Danny and Heidi and Matt and Frannie. He's right in the middle. He can go either way. Perfect. My game is perfect.
The Claire vote went exactly the way he wanted. It was so uneventful that they completely skipped the post-tribal and just went to the next morning.
Yep. Well, they didn't have enough time, really, this episode, so I'm not surprised they cut some of that stuff because I felt like it was just a little bit rushed because of, the journey. Mm-hmm. They just didn't have a lot of extra time for camp life.
And it didn't mean a whole lot, the whole Claire thing, in the scheme of things. And it especially didn't mean much to Danny, Heidi, Matt, and Frannie.
Yes.
They were clear on their next vote.
That's right.
Josh.
They're like, oh, yeah, Josh is the next easy vote. No problem.
Great contrast.
Yeah.
Something's up with that. Yep. Seems too easy. Bouncing over to the Tika tribe there on day 8. There are 2 sticks in the birdcage. This was the extra bonus clip that they shared on, what's the show with RuPaul? Lingo?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was in Lingo. They showed this clip, and it was also with the preview clip they released this week, too. So Carolyn's gotten
2
tricky.
red sticks.
If you say so.
They are?
That they didn't stand out as well as she had hoped to me.
Well, that's because you have a color deficiency.
Yeah.
So,
Jim Jim's kind of
they stood out.
Jim Jim's kind of bummed. Is this thing still going? Are we still doing this birdcage thing? What did you think about how Carolyn played it?
I think Carolyn's playing it very well. She's like, who did that?
Unusual X in the birdcage, and then she marked a spot there in camp where she hid the fake immunity idol.
Well, it absolutely worked on Sarah, so
I guess that's the only thing that matters in the end.
It made it, exactly. It was successful. They
didn't seem to really question it. I thought it looked very janky, but that's from my cushy seat here on the love seat.
The clincher was that Jam Jam told Sarah that wood didn't come from around here. One of us didn't do it because I looked and there's none of that colored wood around here. So I thought, okay, then I'm impressed with Carolyn that she found 4 pieces of something.
Well, she found 1 piece of something and broke it into 4.
Well, still, she made it 4.
Yeah, and made it into the X marks the spot, and that worked.
Exactly.
Like you said, that worked for Sarah. She spied with her little eye 2 more red sticks, so she knew something was up.
That's
she was
right.
Casually searching right there in front of everyone.
And very sneakily got it.
Mm-hmm.
Wrapped it in her underwear and just took off. So good on Carolyn. She made it work. She was slower than the others to actually do that, but at least she did it.
And I welcomed you to the Fake Idol Club. The USBs with Fake Idol Club. You joined me at this point in the game.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, yeah, boy, we picked them, didn't we?
Off to the reward challenge. We're going to do 2 challenges. It's a 2-day game cycle, and we'll do a reward challenge on day 8 and immunity on day 9. First up is the classic slingshot challenge. I always like this one.
I do like it that they put that each player had to hit the target at least once before they could
Hit
go
one
on to
target,
somebody else.
yeah.
Yes, everybody had to hit one because that's the kind of thing that trips them up.
Did you immediately think, uh-oh, Carolyn's going to have a hard time with this?
No,
No? I just harkened back to that first
no,
challenge.
but I thought Matt might.
Oh,
But he
yeah.
didn't have any problem. He did it. So.
Yeah, so the classic reward is a large tarp for the first winner, a small tarp for the second winner, and when it's raining, those are most welcome for sure. And there's a twist. The winning tribe's going to decide who goes on a journey, and they'll pick from the other two tribes, too.
Yep, one from each tribe.
Sitting out in the reward challenge, we got Frannie and Kane, and then it was on. So Danny, Carson, and Brandon, they got through it relatively easily. Danny looked great. Carson did too. Brandon took a few struggle shots, and then he got it done. And then Heidi came up, and Soka just really dominated.
Yes, they're back to dominating after their loss.
Yeah.
They don't want to lose again.
Carolyn took a trip to Struggle Town.
Yep.
And her shots were so weak that she couldn't even reach the first target for quite a while there as Soka just continued to push ahead. And Lauren...
But she didn't give up.
Well, she didn't have a choice. Like you said,
Yep.
Everybody's got to get one.
Got to get one.
Lauren came up for Ratu after Brandon got it, Jaime, then Matthew. And then Brandon had to go again for Soka. We had Josh. Heidi followed Danny, and then Josh and Matt, and Danny went again, and they just made short work of it. And Sarah did get up there and get one after Carolyn eventually got hers, and Jam was on his way up to get their fourth, and then Brandon finished it off. So first place Soka, second place Ratu.
All right. Now Soka gets to choose who gets to go on this journey. I'm sure they all just assumed it was the same-o. Mm-hmm. They weren't too concerned about it. And even though Jeff did include that little, it can change the game when you go on a journey. So they chose Josh, Carson, and Jaime.
Jaime was really excited. She said that she had manifested it with her magic wand and a bing, and it was so. She got to go.
Excellent, Jaime.
She's excited. She's looking forward to getting her advantage.
So we see all three of them on the boat on their journey out to the island.
Yep. Jamie's still going on about it. She's saying that it's the overall experience that she was looking for. And she was hoping to work with. She had already tagged Carson and Josh as somebody she might want to work with on the other tribe. So this was a great opportunity.
I'd be curious to know why she thought that from just the challenges. Yeah. But, okay, and they read the sign, and they do include a note. Careful what you share.
Yeah, they don't normally, or hadn't normally included that before, right?
If they had, they hadn't read it.
You think they did that just because they knew they were swapping them?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay, and then they get up to the lookout, and then the sign tells them, pick a path. And they each go down their individual paths, and they learn that they've all just got an immunity idol, but it's an immunity idol with an expiration timer. It's only as good until they arrive at one beach where they're all living together. It didn't say merge, it just said where they were all living together on one beach. At that point, it expires. So you got to use it before then.
Well, all they saw at first was just a immunity idol.
Yes.
Then they kept reading, and it was like, uh-oh, huh?
It's got an expiration, and the twist, draw a new buff, because you're not going back to your tribe.
You're not going back to your tribe, which, mixed reactions. So you can get a little excited that you're going to, be with some new people, and then scared to death because you're going to be the last one to join this group and could very well be the first one out.
That's what you ideally,
after your idol.
Ideally you want is in that kind of a situation, you want to have some way to save yourself.
Well, that made it better.
At least initially. It
but
gives
that's
you
only for one
a
vote.
little time to work because you can't just show up in one day and
Yeah.
make a bond to save yourself.
The immunity idol gives them at least enough time to try to make some alliances rather than go to tribal within 24 hours. Well, who do you think's going to be the vote? Unless somebody's made somebody really angry, they're going to be the vote, the new person.
All three of these folks thought they were sitting pretty good.
Yep.
Jaime thought she was doing good on Ratu. Josh thought he was just in the best possible position. And Soka, even though he didn't perceive the real danger he was in. And Carson thought he was in the controlling alliance at Tiny Tika. But now everything's different.
Yeah, but Jaime was more confident because she got a fake idol.
Well, as
So,
far as she's concerned, she now has
she
two
has two.
immunity idols.
So she's sitting pretty.
She's gunned up and ready to go. So she'll be able to handle it. And Carson tells us that he's happy because it's no more time on the loser tribe. He's going to be on the bottom of this new tribe, but at least he's not on the continuously losing tribe.
Okay. Jam sees, oh, Carson's coming back. And it's like, wait a minute. That's not Carson.
That's Josh.
Yeah.
Josh tells us he was welcomed with open arms, but he realized he was walking into the lion's den.
lion's den.
I like that.
What?
Go ahead.
I like that Sarah asked if he was a surgeon.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say.
But he lied. And I thought, if somebody asks you a question that hits the nail on the head.
So specific.
Yes. So very specific. There's a reason for that. And which makes me think his tribe, his original tribe, knows that he's a surgeon.
Yes, he must have shared with someone.
And if he shared with anyone and you're now joining a new tribe, I would not lie about it at that point.
No.
Because that's bound to immediate distrust.
He tells his fake story about being a personal trainer and a washout at med school, and nobody bought it.
No one.
They were doing the math, and they're like,
Yes.
this doesn't work. The
Sarah
dude's a
went
surgeon.
right into then he said this and he said that, and those numbers do not add up.
Jam had done the math, too. He wasn't buying it.
So that's why I thought, oh, I think that was a big mistake on your part, Josh. But, oh, well. Yeah, because Jam really hates. I think he would have gone after him anyway, but he really wanted him more because he lied to
lied.
them.
Yeah, the casual lie.
And they were just
Which
trying to.
evidently wasn't even a good lie.
Yeah. They were just trying to, if he had an idol, that he wouldn't play it because he'd be confident that they were with him. But I didn't think they did that great of an acting job. Did you? Jam and Sarah?
Oh, you talking about when they talked to him a little later?
Yeah.
No. We'll come back to that. Let's bounce over to Ratu
okay.
on day 8. Brandon's shocked. He's bummed that Jaime didn't come back, and here comes little Carson. He's not thinking he's going to amount to much, I think. And he does sort of help Carson, though, in the course of the conversation by telling him that, hey, we thought Jam was leading everything over there. So Carson gets to go, yeah, that's what I thought, too.
Yeah. And he's already throwing Jam and Carolyn under the bus. Mm-hmm. That's like, yeah, immediately he flopped over. Doesn't mean he wouldn't go back and work with them if he got the chance eventually. But he was happy to throw them under the bus. Oh, yeah. They told me what to do, and I'm
inconsequential. I am not a threat to you, Brandon.
That's right. And Jam's running the show over there.
Matthew was pretty bummed. He said his heart sank and he had lost his precious investment.
Yep.
He had groomed Jaime with a fake idol. And he was all ready to sacrifice her, and now
now he's got to
that work was gone. He's got to start over.
Necessarily going to get to see that happen.
Yeah.
So now he wants to groom Carson. And he starts out by telling him about Jaime found the idol, that Brandon already found the whole birdcage thing and he used it, and they replaced it and Jaime found it. Mm-hmm. Which is a straight up lie. But Carson believes him. He's sharing information.
Well, he said it did. That almost like that exchange was scripted. It's like I mean, I know it's not, but it just felt that way. It just felt unauthentic and fake while I was watching it. You got Matthew sharing those things, which is good, sharing information to help build trust. And then Carson's response is, because you shared that with me, I trust you.
Well, what else you going to tell him? You know that's what he's after is for him to trust him. And whether
thanks.
you do or not, then you want him to think you trust him and that's why.
Yeah. It didn't seem genuine in the response, but it seemed to work for Matthew. So Matthew's convinced that he's building the bridges that he needs. He's got a new investment he's working on.
Then over at Soka, Jaime shows up, and she said, well, at least I have 2 idols.
Yep, fresh start for her.
Well, Frannie says, well, Jaime seems nice, and it'll be easy to vote her out. We'll vote her out first because she just took the position of the person they were going to vote out.
Right, we had an easy vote.
No problem.
I guess this'll work in place.
But they are concerned that she might have an idol.
What'd you think about Danny pulling the I'm going to search your bag?
I wasn't surprised.
With Frannie volunteering to watch.
Yeah, I'll watch if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So she I think she was kind of trying to manipulate that a little bit too to get him to do it, and she could keep her hands somewhat clean.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't hesitate. Danny's like, hey, this is a game. Normal rules do not apply.
What did you think about his search technique?
Didn't seem very thorough to me.
No.
Yeah. No.
But he's convinced that she has nothing after doing that.
Yep.
He bent
Matt,
things.
Not so much.
I mean, he knows what to look for better than anyone. Yeah, that was interesting that Matt didn't want to believe it.
Yeah, and he thinks she probably does have something and she got it on her.
Right.
Which she may.
But Matt's still committed to being Soka strong. Okay, on to the second challenge.
Okay, before we go.
Yeah.
How do you think Danny would feel if he caught somebody going through his bags?
He'd be outraged.
Probably. It'd be a different story.
Right.
I don't think he would be oh, well, it's a game. Of course they went through my bag. No problem. I'm not stupid enough to put it in my bag. Come on.
Right. Okay, on to the immunity challenge. Back out to the water. This was a good one. I liked Lauren's entrance with the sword. Did you see that?
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah.
They should have all given a big battle cry when she was coming in with it like
Probst
that.
did. He called it a battle cry, and here they come.
Yeah, it was a little weak.
Nobody else seemed very impressed.
Yeah.
So they all have to dive in one at a time and leap off the platform and grab a key, and then they have to go over a
floating balance beam.
Yes, that would be.
Always a challenge.
Yep, and then they have to solve a puzzle.
Then they take those keys and unlock the puzzle pieces and solve it. It's a nice, big, pretty manta ray jigsaw puzzle. Physical jigsaw puzzle. 2
people have to sit out. Jaime is one, and Matthew sits out, which is surprising. That's the first one he's sit out, isn't it? Or
he set out that one before.
No, he set out the one with the big,
Yeah, where he got to talk to Claire.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was still surprised, though, that he sat out because he was so wanting to prove it, but maybe he was just in too much pain.
Well, with that amount of swimming and him maybe having limited rotation on his arm, probably was for the best.
And having to reach up high and grab.
Yeah. Well, you can do that with your one good arm. It's that swimming afterwards and the panic that would sit in if you're not able to use both your arms to keep yourself afloat. So
Carson gets to become a valuable member of the tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So up first, Josh and Danny and Brandon all jump off, get the key, no problem.
Yep. Danny starts struggling on the balance beam, but Brandon, surprisingly, as big and as strong as he is, he actually demonstrated some pretty good dexterity on that balance beam.
Yeah. It wasn't pretty, but he made it.
Yeah.
And Danny, of course, falls right off. You'd think he's shorter and lower down. He'd have a little bit of better center of balance.
Better center of gravity, yeah.
Yeah. And
Not
but
so much, but he does recover.
one thing when you're going over something like that is you really have to engage your core muscles, or you don't
Okay.
have the same balance. But if you remember to activate your core muscles and move from there,
That's got to be tricky. That's
Yeah, I'm
on
sure.
the waves
Oh
with
yeah,
that variability,
it didn't seem to be moving a ton,
right?
but yeah,
Any little bit
that's.
is
I mean, even doing it on solid ground would be could be challenging, but doing
Yes.
it on the water.
You'd have to practice on a slack line to get something
Yeah.
roughly equivalent to that. He eventually makes it through. Sarah goes next for Tika, and Matt for Soka, and Carson for Ratu. And they make it through okay. And then Jam Jam comes up for Tika. Thus begins the struggle. And Heidi for Soka, and Lauren for
Lauren
Ratu.
was not even close to that key.
Yeah, she little too far out there for her to grab, but she wins for best belly flop,
Yes,
possibly
she does.
best belly flop ever in the history of Survivor.
Ouch.
Not what she intended. I was surprised she was able to manage the swim okay. She just knew that she wasn't going back. And so Probst tells us right away, somebody on Ratu's going to have to do it again. They're going to have to swim back.
And you could tell, really, nobody wanted to.
Right. It wasn't what they were looking for, but they did want to get her up and out of the water.
Jeff is like, one of you two. You got one of you two have
Now.
to go. And Brenda and Carson just stood there.
Right.
He didn't even move.
No, they must have discussed
So,
it, but
I
prior
don't know
to
if
that.
they did. Brandon
Yeah.
just. But he had trouble swimming back out there. You know, he was
Well, you could tell he was gassed.
on his back.
Yeah. He did exactly the right thing. You go to that backstroke, float on your back.
And almost everybody that crawled up there just collapsed onto the platform
Yeah,
after they got up. So I'm sure it was a lot more taxing than we could know,
Yeah, absolutely.
just by the way so many of them did that.
Jam Jam really struggled on that balance beam part. He dropped and then ended up crawling over on his knees.
Well, that's the worst thing. If you keep falling off and you have to keep going over there and pulling yourself up on the platform and then falling off and swimming around and pulling yourself up,
Yeah.
it just, your muscles start to just give
Yep.
after a while, and
You can
they're
get to a
not
point
going
where
to
you can't.
cooperate
Yeah,
well.
where you can't even do it. He took enough time that Brandon actually was able to catch up with him, just
Yeah.
swim back, start over, grab another key, come back out, and then beat him across the balance beam.
It's like, oh, thanks. That
Yeah.
gave me a chance to catch up. And poor Carolyn just has to sit back and wait.
Yep. And Kane goes next for Ratu, and he had some struggles on the balance beam too. Jam Jam
Yeah.
and eventually got over, and then Carolyn came over, and then Kane finally got there, but Soka had such...
Well, Kane kind of helped Carolyn catch up.
Yes, and Soka had a huge head start. Heidi and Matt were
Oh,
just
yeah.
so far ahead on the puzzle, and they were making progress.
When they started the puzzle, the other two teams had someone still back on the back platform
Right,
to go for the key.
because they blew through.
They were that far ahead.
Heidi and Frannie did great, and then they got there, and Heidi and Matt jumped on that puzzle and started
Yep.
working on it once they got the pieces unlocked. So Soka starts working on it, and then Tika was able to start, Josh and Sarah, and then last was Ratu, and they had Carson and Lauren.
I was surprised
it.
at Lauren. Were you?
Didn't know who they were going to put on the puzzle, so yeah, it was interesting to see Carson and Lauren jump on
And
it.
she jumped in there. I thought she probably thought, "Hey, if we lose, it could be me, and I better get in here and redeem myself."
Because I caused a huge
Yes,
delay, and I
yes.
caused Brandon to go twice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I bet she was sweating bullets the whole time she was working on it.
I bet she was too. Okay, so Soka wins.
No surprise, they win the
Nope,
first
no.
place, first immunity, and it's down to Josh and Sarah for Tika versus Carson and Lauren. And it was pretty close.
But Ratu wins.
Yep, great comeback. And Tika is once again headed to tribal council. So we're on our way to a 3-person tribe, which this is probably the biggest downside of starting with the 6 small tribes.
Yeah.
Is you can get in a situation where now challenges can only be run with 3 people.
That's right.
And it gives the other tribes a huge advantage in terms of people that get to sit out and rest up.
Well, yeah, and those tribes are more likely if they continue to have reward challenges and immunity challenges. The tribe that has to play in every single one is at a disadvantage.
Yes.
Because at least the other tribe can rotate people and let them rest up from a challenge. But when you got 3 on a tribe, you play every single challenge.
Yes.
Regardless of what it is.
And it makes them, at least for me, it makes them a little less interesting when there are these tiny little challenges like that.
Yep.
Josh has that immunity idol. So
He's still nervous.
yeah, he knows he's got a safety net, but yeah.
This is going to be a big moment for him.
Trepidation.
And we were discussing, should he use it? And we both were like, yeah, use it.
No doubt.
Absolutely, use it.
You got it. It's got
Till you know what's happening.
It's got an expiration timer on it.
Oh, yeah.
And you're at a distinct disadvantage.
And Jam tells us...
My question for that was, who was he going to target? That's what I was really wondering. And I was curious if Sarah was going to feel motivated to play her fake idol that she had just received the day before.
Yes. I was...
Okay. What were you about to say? Jam?
I was saying Jam was saying it's either me or him.
Game on for him.
And it's not going to be me. I thought it easily could have been Jam.
Yeah. But as far as Jam's concerned, Josh is not Tika, therefore he must go. And this was when the interesting exchange kicked off. So
yes, we haven't got to see this side of Tika.
Things aren't all hunky-dory there between Jam and Carolyn, are they?
No, and I thought they were, tight.
Had this figured out?
Not so much. He tells Carolyn that...
it was like a 1-2 punch. One, they'll be coming for me because they think I'm the threat. I'm the more important player in this tribe. Mm-hmm. Therefore,
it just is. Don't get upset.
Yeah, which is always beneficial. When you can tell Carolyn how to behave.
He's got his back to her, but he's kind of rolling his eyes at her.
Yeah.
And I know this will make you angry, but this is what we're going to do.
He knows the Carolyn tax.
And we're going to tell him it's you.
You're the decoy. Again.
Yeah.
Again.
And she's really angry about that.
She's not happy for sure.
Not happy at all. I can't say I blame her.
Okay, now we're at the point that you referenced just a little earlier. Sarah and Jam make their what looked like a pretty fumbled pitch to Josh.
Oh, yeah.
They go to gather some wood, and Sarah says in an earnest but slow way, "We want to work with you." I thought that was pretty weak.
Yeah, it seemed to be to me too. And but I don't think Josh was buying what they were selling either, or not completely for sure. And then when he talks to Carolyn, he actually shows her the idol, that he indeed has one.
Trying to build trust.
And tells her he'll play it for her. If she'll vote with him, then he'll play it for her.
That's a pretty risky move.
That could easily get him voted out. But I think he was believing Carolyn, even though she has a shifty look almost to her.
All the time.
All the time.
There's no impulse
it's like,
control.
I wouldn't know whether to believe her or not from her facial expressions. But he obviously did.
I wish someone would ask her, how am I supposed to interpret all your different outbursts and your behaviors? How is this supposed to work?
If you were forming a relationship with her, that she would communicate that. I believe she would.
It's a worthwhile conversation to try.
You would have to, because
I would tell her straight up, "Look, you're throwing me off with all this stuff.
You misinterpret me all the time."
Exactly.
After almost, over 30 years we've been together, you still, and I'll say, "Where did you get that idea?" "Well, you said such and such." I'm like, does not have anything to do with what you're thinking. And it just amazes me. But anyway, yes, you would need to communicate that, and I do try. But I think part of it is you're just so overly protective of me. end. So
Okay.
your brain is always working. What should you do? What should you do? You should just relax and chill out.
Yeah, but
So okay, back to Carolyn.
you'd have to have that kind
Yeah.
of conversation.
Yeah, I think
Otherwise,
so too.
you would never know where you stood.
That's true.
You're talking to her, and then the next minute she's saying, "And I have on 2 colored shoes," and she's squawking and looking somewhere else, or laying down on the ground and then bouncing back up. And
I would do better with that than you do.
yeah, it would be hard for Josh to sort that out in
You can
such
say me. It's fine. That
in
would be
such a
hard for me.
quick amount of time, a short amount of time.
Well, I do understand and get that she really does want to play her own game, but I thought, why not let him play his idol for you?
Sure. Yeah.
And then you have the option right to the last second to do what you choose to. If he's playing the idol for you, unless he doesn't play it, at which time you could play your own.
Yeah. You need to be ready.
Yeah, exactly. But
Because it did seem like, at least the edit did a good job of making us think, hey, I think she might actually be on some shaky ground here. She doesn't sound like she needs to be. Everything sounds legitimate with what Sarah and Jam Jam are saying. We really need to stick together. If we lose any of us,
well, Jam Jam actually trusted Sarah to be able to communicate better to Josh with him than he did Carolyn, which is another mark on him as far as Carolyn's concerned, because he didn't choose her. She had to be the, whatever role he gave her. And I don't blame her for that, for being upset, though I do think that maybe she was carrying it a little bit far. Stay focused in your game mode and not get too much into the emotions, but she handled it, though I can never tell with her.
exactly.
So let's go
Isn't
into
that the conversation
tribal.
we were just having?
Yes.
Yeah. Night
Go
9.
into tribal because I couldn't tell what was real and what. I'm like, I'm not sure.
All
If
right.
I were Josh, I would be so confused and unsure what to do. So
Probst was looking mighty stern when they came walking in. Looked like he had starched those dimples.
okay. So Jeff asked Josh right off the bat, did you think you wouldn't come back from your journey to your original tribe? And
Of course, he says he was what everyone would think. I
course
was
he
shocked.
thought, yeah.
I had no idea.
Of course he thought he was
And
coming
now
back. Everybody
now
else
I'm on the
had.
bottom of the tribe here.
And then Jam Jam makes a mistake of saying,
Whoa, hold on just a second, though. Sarah actually commented next.
Okay.
Probst went to her next. And the reason it's significant, and I wanted to look at it, was
Okay.
that she made such a good case for Josh. She said, no, it's not necessarily simple because he could be bringing 4 important,
yeah,
powerful votes. We could team up together. We could build an
And-
alliance that
yes.
could dominate the merge.
exactly.
That was a
Which
great-
is true.
Great. You could tell someone had put some thought into it. And so, yeah, that was good. Okay, go ahead with
Good
Jam
on you,
Jam.
Sarah. Well, just the whole Jam Jam and him saying her, and I was kind of with her a little bit that he slipped up and said her. It looked like he almost pointed at Carolyn when he said it.
Yeah.
With some of that stuff, he was kind of
That's where he dropped the bye Felicia
yeah,
and
all
said that
that.
the new kid in class is, and then
and
not
Carolyn
my friend
thinks
anymore.
He means her.
Right. That's where we got the title. She said, I guess I'm Felicia.
No, she said I'm Felicia, not I think I am. She was ready to argue with him too.
Jam Jam tells us he has offended her once again, and Sarah confirms that this happens between them
Frequently.
somewhat regularly. Yes.
Yeah, and they hadn't showed us that till now. So, but obviously it's been happening.
Now, Josh
So,
pulled the Captain Dum Dum move at this point. He decided this was the right time for him to chime in and explain how this chaos was such a good thing for him. And the better play is just to be quiet when it looks like that alliance is fighting with each other.
yeah, he's like, are they trying to throw me off my game? Are they playing me? And Carolyn kind of looked at him, and I'm thinking, don't upset the apple cart. Don't get Carolyn not knowing what you really... because she could do something different than what she told
Her head
you.
was on a swivel. It was definitely whipping around during this tribal council. To his credit, Josh did acknowledge that it all could be a charade, that they could be acting right now to psych him out. But he thinks he knows who he can trust.
And Carolyn said, well, they should keep me.
They know me.
They know me.
Now, Probst paraphrased her, and he did it more succinctly and more eloquently. He was really making a case for her. And he's done this from time to time over the seasons. He'll interject on a castaway's behalf. He does it under the guise of, I'm just restating what they had said, but he'll do a clearer, more forceful version of it sometimes, and that's what I felt like he did in Tribal Council tonight, too,
And
on her behalf.
Did you note what he actually said?
No, I didn't write it down.
Okay. Well, Carolyn once again said, who's left? Felicia. But I still think both Sarah and Jam Jam were completely convinced that the three of them were voting together.
She was with them. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think they doubted that for a second. And so, okay, time to vote.
Yeah, Carolyn did a good job there of convincing everyone that she was just giving in to the inevitability that she was the vote.
It's probably me.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And they ignored her.
So they vote, and we get some good eye rolls and comedic events from Carolyn while she's up there voting. And they come back, and Josh plays his idol for
Josh.
himself. Yes. So no votes cast for Josh will
that
count.
would buy her even more confidence from Josh, was for her to come back after he told her that he would play it for her, and for her to say, no, play it for you.
And that very well may have happened.
And we'll vote Sarah.
But they didn't show it to create. Yeah.
No, but she said that's what she was going to tell him. So I'm assuming maybe she did.
It's more to create more tension in the tribal council.
Mm-hmm.
So we were not privy to that actually occurring.
So we get
What I want to know, though, is why that didn't trigger. That should have triggered like an Idlegeddon, I thought. Okay, so he's playing it for himself. Sarah should have went, you know what, just in case, I'm going to play her unknowingly fake idol. And then Carolyn should have gone, this went really weird and sideways in this tribal council. You know what, I'm just going to go ahead and play mine too.
Well, she didn't necessarily have to, because she didn't think Josh was voting for her. And Josh had already played his, and she knew Sarah's was fake. She's the only one that knew Sarah's was fake. So
I'm saying it looked like the elements were there that it should have could have triggered that, but that, of course that didn't happen. No more are played, just
and
Josh.
No more inheritance.
Right, we see 2 votes come in for Josh. They don't count, and then Josh and Carolyn's vote for Sarah comes in, and Sarah is gone.
And I thought, I cringed just a little bit with her talking about she joined the group of people who went out with idols in their pockets.
The special club of super sad people.
No, wait till she finds out it wasn't even real.
Well, is that worse?
I don't know.
No, I think it's probably okay.
It's worse because you're talking about it and you're saying, and this.
Well, I thought you made a good point when we were going over it before we started recording. You said, well, I think she would have been more embarrassed had she played it and it been a fake and she had gone through all that than she is right now, thinking that she left with one in her pocket. So Jam Jam is jammed up for sure. He is on the outs in this 3-person tribe.
Well, he definitely had open mouth shock when the votes came in, and they saw the second one for. Then he knew.
Right.
Once the second vote came, that he was the one.
And he is not in control. Carolyn made sure that was clear, and her and Josh...
You are not in control of me.
Her and Josh held hands, and she gave him a pat on the back on the way out of tribal council.
Yeah, if they hadn't already picked it up, they certainly did then. But.
Okay, let's sort of step back and look at it as a whole. What did you think about the episode?
It was good, but I really did miss all the camp time.
Tribe time. Yeah, we got limited tribe time.
almost nothing, and nothing from Ratu.
Right. Before they went to
Yeah,
the first
they didn't
reward
show them at
challenge,
all before we went to the first challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really basically got just little bits and pieces when they came back, but not what I was been used to. I was enjoying that.
What did you think about the
But
twist?
it was still good. The twist was really surprising that I don't necessarily like it when they just switch out one person. I'd rather see them do a complete shuffle, but that's just me.
Yeah.
And it works to break things up, so it's not a bad thing.
And they gave him immunity, so
Exactly. So
looking at it, where do you think Josh is sitting versus where he was before it happened?
well, he can't wait to get back to him, but he just has no clue that they were going to vote him out next.
He's in a better position right now,
He's
right?
in a way better position
It essentially
right now.
saved him,
Yes,
and
it
he
did.
saved himself.
He doesn't know it yet,
Yeah.
but it did save him.
Yeah. So he saved himself, and he's in a better position. He's in the controlling alliance on the 3-person tiny Tika tribe.
Yeah, and as long as he gets how much Carolyn hates to be told what to do, and he starts asking her opinion, if he can do that, I think she'll hang there with him.
Yeah.
And
So you think Jam Jam's the next to go on Tika?
well, if they lose again, yeah, absolutely, I do, because I don't see Jam Jam handling this that well, being on the outs. I think that's going to drive him nuts.
Carson's probably in an okay place. I wouldn't
Yeah, I think
necessarily
he's
say
okay.
it's better, but
No, but it seems okay. I just wonder.
having the immunity idol, not sharing it. So he's got that in his pocket should he need it.
Yep.
Likewise with Jaime over on Soka. She's in an okay place, but she's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and the thing is with Jaime is she thinks she has 2 idols.
Right.
And if she goes to play one at a crucial moment and she plays the wrong one, if she plays the fake one, then that could be all she wrote.
Of course, depending on the order, if she were to play the fake one and Jeff says, and she goes back and sits down and Jeff goes, and this is a fake.
Well, she could go back and play the other one.
Exactly. That's why the order is a little important for that. She could still save herself.
Here's the situation with that, though, is she's more likely to play the one that expires sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Which she thinks, oh, this one's only good. If we merge, this one's no good. I better play it now.
All right.
So, or...
It's going to have a sense of urgency with that one, where the other one says it's good till final 5.
Yeah, and it might not play out that way, where
Right.
she had the opportunity to play the other one.
Good point. Good
Behind
point.
it. But it would be fun to see that happen. I like your scenario of
Yeah.
what could happen. But let's do next on.
Okay. Matthew says he is in so much pain. Every morning he wakes up in agony.
Yeah, and he gives Carson a hug
What did you think of the shot before that? Before
where he
the
was
hug?
crying.
Well, he's making a pain face. I don't know if he was full on tears crying. I thought
Looked
that
like he'd been crying to me.
I thought that looked like talking to Probst, talking to medical kind of moment, where he's down on the beach and he's making that pain face.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
But
he's going to end up taking himself
he's
out on a medical.
lamenting that he's been training for years for this, and he's just going to have to
And
let
he's
it go.
Self-sabotaged it.
Well, yeah, and I feel bad for him. I felt bad watching that, but it also brought up that little bit of irritation and anger at him for doing what he did and trying to climb something that shouldn't, in my opinion, have even been attempted. That it was reckless.
Yep, definitely reckless. We had him and Maddie pegged as reckless early on.
So, even though I feel bad for him, I feel mad at him too. So,
All right. And you
And-
saw so much in Frannie was talking about Jaime. There was a couple of scenes
yeah,
with,
I could be wrong.
with Jaime talking to Matt and then Frannie moving
saying
towards
she doesn't
Matt.
know how really close we are.
Right.
And I thought, oh, that sounded like a bit of jealousy to me. That
I didn't get that at all.
because they showed the picture of Jaime smiling, which is Jaime smiles all
at
the
Matt,
time.
she smiles at everyone, yeah.
Yeah,
But
at Matt.
It is a shot with her smiling at Matt, and I hadn't even. I
You didn't even see that.
Didn't clock it at all. Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about?
And I said, well, Jaime was smiling at Matt. And
You were telling me the story that that you had seen, and I thought, what in the world? How did you come up with that?
I didn't see any of that. What are you talking about? And I said, well, it may not be that, but that's, I saw Jaime smiling at Matt, and then Frannie coming around and going, well, she doesn't know how really close we are. Mm-hmm. In other words, that maybe she thought Jaime was flirting with her man,
Gotcha.
So it could be that. It might have nothing to do with that.
We see Carson talking to Kane, and we get a voiceover from Carson where he's saying, everyone sharing is giving me power.
Sharing with me gives me a lot of power.
And so looks like things are going well for Carson. And then Carolyn's exasperated. She says, those two. Talking about Josh and Jam Jam.
So, and Josh tells someone, I don't trust you.
Now, do you think he was talking to Jam Jam?
I thought he was talking to...
Or to Carolyn.
No, I thought he was talking to a camera person or doing an interview or something.
No. He said, I don't trust you to another castaway.
Oh, that's right. He said you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Carolyn or Jam Jam?
I'd have to say Jam Jam.
Could be Carolyn, but seems more likely that it's Jam Jam. And then,
because he said it kind of almost with a smile.
And then Jam Jam, like he was, but that seemed like the kind of smile when you're egging someone on when you say it, too. But
they might have clipped the sentence, too.
Yeah. And Jam Jam's concerned because somebody's giving him the B face. Now, was that Carolyn or was that Josh that he was referring to?
Well, it could be either.
Right.
But I thought it was Josh.
Yes.
I don't know why.
I
just thought it was Josh.
The sequence of events in this episode.
Yeah, because it showed Josh and then Jam Jam.
Them up as opposing going forward.
Yes, that's what I thought they were going for, whether it was the way it really went down or not. Mm-hmm. But so that you think that means that Matthew's going to quit. And
I've been thinking that for a while, yeah.
Would he quit?
Yes.
Or would he just... Because now then that messes up the season as far as...
Well, it depends. If he were to either go out on a medical, be taken out, maybe medical comes in and says, look, you're very likely doing irreparable damage. The pain's getting worse. We need to take you out. Or he says, I'm worried because the pain's getting worse and I don't want to do permanent damage. So I'm going to have to step away. And that's what that anguish on his face was about on the beach there.
Yeah, I kind of thought that if he leaves, he would have his tribe just vote him out.
Possibly.
Just maybe throw the challenge and vote him out.
Yeah, I guess I lost my train of thought when I was saying all that. But where I was going with it was he takes himself out. Would they, just like in the first episode, would they go on to have an immunity challenge and it would effectively be a double, or they would be good with just the one person leaving the game and the other tribes get a break that game cycle because he's gone?
I would think they would have to, because we figured out the weeks.
Timeline-wise, yeah.
Yeah, to the finale. We know when the finale's been announced, and it's only one person per week. Unless...
Well, they didn't have to be, though.
Unless they went into the finale with 4 people instead of 5, which they could do.
Right.
So...
Well, they can have weeks where nobody goes, too. So.
Well, that's true. So that we can't know.
Those are possibilities, yeah.
Yeah. So, because there's not that much to play with. They've already had an unexpected double, which they usually have at least one double, but they had that with Bruce leaving on a medical. So, it works out to the finale for just one person a week and going in with the normal 5 people into the finale. But we would certainly get more in a finale if they went in with 4. Mm-hmm. So they wouldn't have to do that extra challenge.
Right.
So
on the whole, what are your thoughts on, say, compare this episode week 4 to week 3?
I enjoyed it. And I didn't want Sarah to go because she was my USB,
Yeah, that's rough.
but I don't know. I don't feel that. I didn't feel as connected as I thought I would, and so it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they didn't
okay.
feature her to the point to where you'd be super sad that she was gone.
Yeah, or that her gameplay was so good that I thought, no,
I think
hasn't shown
the
me
number one thing I wanted
what
to
I
see from
thought.
her was what she did with the inheritance advantage. And that's the
Yes,
real one
yes.
that left with her.
So you're thinking they're going to put that back in?
Oh, yeah. That one's too interesting. It's new. They're not going to give up on it. It'll cycle
Yeah.
back into the game.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there, because they want to see what somebody will do with it.
And
So,
likely, even in the next episode, it could come back in.
yeah. So even if she had played her inheritance, it wouldn't have done her any good.
No.
I mean, yes, Josh played an idol, and the way it works, she would have gotten his idol, but only if she was in the game,
Right.
and she wouldn't have been. So,
Yeah.
but okay, that's
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's different. I like the shake-up of the one person that changed on each tribe, in the sense that at least they can be safe for one vote. So it gives them a little time
Yes.
to work, and
Yes.
it really amps up the dynamics. We saw what an effect it had on Tika. We thought Carolyn and Jam Jam were tight, and it served as a catalyst to break those bonds and that sequence of events, and how Jam Jam was managing their relationship. That went sour.
I think Jam Jam and Sarah both got too confident that they had it figured out.
Too
It was a done
comfortable,
deal. Carolyn would go along, and they weren't even trying to appease her, because I believe they could have.
Sure.
If either one of them had taken her side and commiserated with her and said, "Oh yeah, and this and that's a bummer," whatever.
Or
You
at a
know?
minimum, like you said, just ask her what she wanted to
Yeah.
do. How do you want to play it?
How do you want to play this?
Instead of dictating that she's going to be the target.
And this is the way it's going to be. Yeah, even I would have had an issue with that. But
Yeah.
so, yeah, I don't think that's ever a good thing to do to anyone. I just don't think that's good gameplay. It's like, well, you can even go first and say, well, I kind of think this would be a good move for us, blah, 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 blah. But then you ended up with, what do you think? Do you have a better plan? What do you think?
I think it's almost better to ask them first.
It is.
Now,
but
some people won't.
if you can't, make yourself do that.
Some people
You
won't do
gotta
that.
get it out. Some people have to get it out.
So you can get in that situation where neither person wants to give anything, because you hardly ever, in a negotiation, you almost never want to be the one who gives, where you're coming from first.
Well, we'd kind of seen that Carolyn wasn't attached to Sarah at all.
Correct.
But I did think she was attached with Jam Jam. I thought they were tight. And
Little did we know that
No.
relationship had been eroding over these brief
yep.
9 days.
So
How about a JSFL update?
I can do that. We have 2 people tied in first this week with 20 points. There were 26 people, including me, who lost their USB. 60 people lost a safe point on Sarah. 58 people earned a vote off point. Congratulations.
That's a significant percentage.
It is, actually. For the side challenge, with 18 points, tied in first, Jeremiah and Rebecca. With 17, we have Chris, Justin, and Randy. With 16, we have Cold Mike, Drew, and Parker. With 15, Robert and Stacy. And with 14, Lisa Ray.
All right. Not a whole lot of movement there, but that's to be expected.
You aren't in the basement, but you're on the
cusp?
about to step on the
The stairs?
stairs.
Am I looking down the stairs? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, I think so.
Good deal. Well, we are looking forward to the listener feedback show on Saturday, where you get an opportunity to call in or write in and share your thoughts, your analysis, predictions. We got the broad strokes down here in the recap. There might be some things that you saw that we didn't pick up on. Maybe there's some skill, some experience in your life to enabled you to view the events through a different lens, and we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the Week 4 events. Voicemail numbers 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record your own audio. That's generally how you get the best quality, but the voicemail sure makes it easy, quick and easy. And if you record it yourself, attach it to an email and send it to us, or if you prefer, you can write it up and send it in the email to joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com, and we'll read it into the listener feedback show on your behalf. Feedback's due noon Pacific time on Saturdays, and we ask that you keep your feedback, whether it's written or recorded or called in that 3-minute range so that we can get everybody in there. It's a heavy lift, but it's also fun, and we enjoy getting to hear from everyone.
Absolutely. We have lots of fun listening.
Yes, and we've had great feedback this season, so looking forward to more of the same.
All right. Have a good one.